Kyle Larson wins a strategy-filled Sonoma race, and there is a lot to unpack, so let's get into it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. All right, Kyle Larson, fresh off of Wavergate, responds by winning Sonoma. It is his second win at Sonoma, and he joins a pretty prestigious list here. You see that list includes Kyle Busch, Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace, and Ernie Irvan, all with 2 wins apiece at Sonoma. Tony Stewart there sitting by himself in third place with 3 wins. Martin Truex Jr. did everything he could to tie Jeff Gordon with the most wins at Sonoma, but came up just a little bit short today. He sits there with 4 wins, and then, of course, at the very top with 5 wins at Sonoma is Jeff Gordon. But pretty impressive list here of names of multiple winners at this racetrack. Not only that, but it was also his 3rd win of the season, and that actually is going to put him in the points lead. We're going to get into the points in just a minute, but wanted to go over a few other things first. And the first thing we need to address, of course, is the repave. Everybody before the race started was talking about the repave. The Xfinity cars looked like they had trouble passing, but it was not a problem passing in the Cup Series. So I would say that the repave is a success, because all you heard from a lot of people all week is, oh, the repave is going to ruin the track. I didn't see where the track was ruined. I thought this was actually one of the better road course races in quite some time. Now, did the repave play into that? Yeah, I think so. But I think the other thing that played into that was the caution. So let's talk about them. Now, obviously, I can't talk about every single caution, but there were a few key cautions that sort of stirred things up, one of which being Ty Gibbs. The Ty Gibbs caution, that shook things up. That is what started this off-strategy pit sequence, and one of those people that got off sequence or picked the wrong strategy, however you want to look at it, was the 22 car of Joey Logano, who had the pole. Really fast race car, but once he put himself back there sort of mid-pack to further back in the pack, he got a piece of another caution that came sort of right afterwards. So very uncharacteristic race with all these cautions in Sonoma, and that sort of cost Joey Logano his chance to win this race. He had control of the race. He was the leader, had qualified on the pole, but once he got back there, never could get up to the front. I don't know if that damage he got in that caution cost him the speed in his race car or what happened, but he ends up finishing 20th or something. His teammate, who almost flipped over in a caution, Austin Cindric, rallies behind him, so they finished somewhere with 21 and 22, or 20, 21, 22, somewhere back there they finished. But then their other teammate, Ryan Blaney, finishes 7th, so that just shows you how important the strategy and getting off sequence. You had to get the right off sequence of cautions or pit strategy to get the good finish there. The other big caution to talk about was Josh Berry. That's the one that took out quite a few cars. William Byron had already been involved in one caution. He had gotten the lucky dog, but in that caution where Josh Berry, I'm not exactly sure what happened. I don't know if Josh Berry was trying to cut Eric Jones off with a late block, or if his spotter told him, hey, the 23 car is coming back on track after going off track, and Josh Berry didn't know how close the 23 car was. But either way, Josh Berry makes an abrupt right-hand turn, and while he was making that right-hand turn, he missed his braking zone completely, and he wiped out a ton of cars that were having pretty good days, including Austin Dillon was in that one. He broke a toe link. I know William Byron was in that one, and he broke a toe link. So that took out a lot of really good cars that were having good days. And yeah, so I still don't know exactly what happened, other than Josh Berry missed his braking zone completely, and I think it took Josh Berry out of that deal too, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, a big pile up there that involved a lot of cars. Probably easier to name the cars that weren't involved in it, to be totally honest. And then, of course, the final caution is one we have to talk about, too, because it actually helped Kyle Busch, even though, and we're going to talk about the Kyle Busch-Ross Chastain thing in a minute, even though Kyle Busch ran out of gas, it did help him. But Martin Truex Jr. runs out of gas and brings out the final caution, which froze the field and gave Kyle Busch a 12th place finish. But it cost Martin Truex Jr. He ended up finishing somewhere like 27th. So after a really good run for him, had a great day, runs out of gas there at the very end, and that was the final caution. So that was the biggest one. So now that we've gone over all, in my opinion, the important cautions, let's look at the top 10. Good race, of course, for Kyle Larson. He gets the win. Michael McDowell with the 2nd place finish there, taking advantage of Martin Truex Jr. running out of gas. Chris Buescher, he was on an off sequence, 15-lap fresher tires for Kyle Larson and the guys in front of him. I would have liked to seen how much speed they had side by side if they were both on the same pit strategy, but you know that's a hypothetical world. Chase Elliott with a good run. He gets 4th place there. He went late on his last stop, so he had the newest tires, but he didn't have quite as much time to catch up to him. Ross Chastain had a fast car all day, had newer tires than Kyle Busch, who he got into, which we're going to touch on here in just a minute. Then A.J. Allmendinger finishing in 6th place there. Good run for him. Ryan Blaney, aforementioned Penske guy, best finishing Penske in 7th place there. Tyler Reddick had a really fast car. He got some damage in one of those cautions and looked like he also needed the clean air to make his car work, but he led a good portion of this race, had a fast car, ends up in 8th place, but obviously he wanted more than that. Christopher Bell in 9th place, and Todd Gilliland, fresh off the contract extension, gets a 10th place finish. Corey LaJoie here in 11th, good run for him. Kyle Busch in 12th. Not as bad a day as he could have had, and like I said, we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Brad Keselowski 13th, Daniel Suarez 14th, Alex Bowman 15th. So, of course, during that last caution for Martin Truex running out of fuel, on that last lap, Ross Chastain sunk it down in there and made contact with Kyle Busch, spun out Kyle Busch. He said he locked him up. They didn't show anything on Fox. You can go back. I don't feel like dealing with the NASCAR copyright thing. Every time I show a NASCAR video, I get copyrighted from NASCAR and I have to fight that. So I don't feel like dealing with that. But you can go to NASCAR.com or you can go to the NASCAR YouTube channel and look at the highlights because they have it from Chase Elliott's in-car view. You can see Ross Chastain locks him up or gets in there too deep. However you want to talk about it, and he definitely was. He was the one at fault. There's no way around it. He got into Kyle Busch and spun out Kyle Busch, costing Kyle Busch probably a 6th place finish there or a 5th place finish. However it would have shook out. So, like I said, not the day Kyle Busch wanted, but it certainly wasn't as bad as it could have been. He did finish 12th. But yeah, Ross Chastain definitely got in there a little hot. Now that I've seen the replay, so there you go. That covers all that. Some other drivers that are not drinking happy beers, these are the sad beers, had a bad race. Will Brown, and I'm going to go all of RCR because Kyle Busch wanted to get the good finish, and Austin Dillon, 36. All of the RCR cars were really fast. Will Brown had some type of electrical issue that they had to fix in qualifying, and then they also had to fix it in the race. Austin Dillon, he broke a toe link on that deal with the Josh Berry wreck. But both of those cars were running really good up to that point, so bad race for them. Josh Berry, of course, bad race. He'd been in suspension apparently in that wreck. And then here, Denny Hamlin only turned 2 laps before his engine grenaded. Ty Gibbs had a fast car as well, and of course he lost it into the barrier. And Cam Waters, I'm not sure exactly what happened to him. I guess he was involved in that accident as well, but I never heard what actually took him out of the race. But yeah, Cam Waters, the other Australian V8 supercar man, finishes 35th. So there you go. With all that chaos, of course, this is going to shake up the points, especially with Denny Hamlin finishing last. So you know we got a new point leader, and you know it's Kyle Larson, but let's take a look at the rest of the points. Like I said, Kyle Larson there takes over the lead. He is in 1st place. Chase Elliott is now in 2nd place. Denny Hamlin falls to 3rd. Tyler Reddick moves up to 4th. Martin Truex Jr. Falls all the way back to 5th with that 27th place finish. William Byron here in 6th place now. Brad Keselowski in 7th. Ty Gibbs in 8th. And here's where it gets interesting. Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch, and Joey Logano are your last 16 in. But because Austin Cindric and Daniel Suarez have wins, they would bump out these last 2, and that would make Kyle Busch and Joey Logano still out of the playoffs right now. Bubba Wallace would be your last man in on points. And then, of course, like I said, Suarez and Cindric in there on their wins. Michael McDowell and Chase Briscoe would be your other 4. So yeah, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Chase Briscoe, and Michael McDowell will be your last 4 trying to get in as it stands now. So yeah, interesting race. Probably like I said, in my opinion, the best road course race we've had in a while. And that's all I got for you on this one. If you made it this far, would love to have your subscription. If not, I'll keep making these things. If you're already subscribed, you know I appreciate you all as well. If you got a question, comment, or anything like that, leave it down in the comment section. I'll try to get to as many of them as I can. And if you want to help out the channel, visit the merch store. The link is in the description. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.